First, we're heading to Bristol and Aardman Studios, a multi-award-winning interactive division that creates successful games, apps, websites, VR and AR experiences that entertain, educate, and inspire family audiences around the world. Recent projects include mental wellbeing campaign, What's Up With Everyone, the 7 Cannes Lions award-winning Story Sign, in which they partnered with FCB Inferno, and the narrative adventure video game 1111 Memories Retold, with Bandai Namco Entertainment Europe, which was nominated for 2 BAFTAs and also won Best Editorial or Serious Game at the TIGA Awards. I'm delighted to be joined by Interactive Creative Director Finbar Hawkins, who'll take us on an AR journey with their latest project, which was also shortlisted at this year's Cannes Lions Festival, starring the world-famous Wallace and Gromit. Before I hand over to Finbar, this is a live session, so we ask that you submit your questions via the Slido chat, which you'll find to the right of the main stage screen. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome Finbar to UK House. Hi, Finbar. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, hi. How are you doing?
Good. Welcome to UK House.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. I'm glad everything's working okay.
Good. I'm going to hand over to you now to take over for your presentation.
Yeah, sure thing. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. The Big Fix Up is a new Wallace and Gromit adventure, and it launched last autumn. It is a collaboration between Aardman and Fictioneers, the consortium, and it was funded by UK Research and Innovation, or UKRI. There's tons to show you, and there's very little time. So as a cheeky shortcut, here's a trailer our clever people at AKQA put together for us, and I think if I can show you this, it really does give you a really good strength of the things we're trying to achieve. Can we roll the VT, please?
The Big Fix Up. Let's have a look.
We're using the latest technology to invite everyone to come and help us.
Let's put these fires up. There's another one done.
In 1989, Aardman Studios created the world of Wallace and Gromit, winning global audiences through stop-motion feature films, games, comic strips, and more. In 2020, we decided to go further and merge their world with ours, creating the first interactive transmedia story, which plays out in real time.
I don't completely understand it. It's kind of an experience for everybody.
Yeah, Miriam, it sounds complicated, and that's because nothing like this has ever been done before. To fix the city of Bristol, Wallace creates a new company, and people are invited to help him on an adventure with lots of challenges.
Glad to have you on board.
Fixing Wallace's iconic rocket, or the famous techno trousers, piloting planes. The adventure follows a 3-act narrative that evolves over days and adapts the story to real-time events during 28 days. To truly merge the real world with the digital, we used Unity's AR packages and visual positioning systems that allowed our characters to be spatially aware, enabling them to hide under a coffee table or jump from a table to the ground. The adventure also allowed users to answer character phone calls and explore extended reality portals. For the story climax, we used an innovative new tool to 3D map an entire block of Bristol that allowed everyone to experience Wallace's hometown through an unprecedented immersive experience. The Big Fix Up story may have an end, but its multi-user storytelling platform will now empower creators to develop real-time augmented narratives for movies, games, and other interactive experiences.
The Big Fix Up needs your help. Get cracking.
So, to roll back a couple of years, we needed a strong concept. And after brainstorming, spitballing for a while, we had a number of ideas, but the simple and the very silly thought of Wallace building contraptions to fix up all of Bristol. We liked that a lot. Hang on a minute. And it gave us the opportunity to forms of traditional development could kick off, and we could start having fun with, what that company might look like, the kind of crazy, silly things that might happen along the adventure. We started to conceive ideas for that, and what kind of brilliant new contraptions Wallace might conceive. We also could start to think about our villains and start to shape them. And you've got to have a sidekick. Every villain's got to have a sidekick. So we could start thinking about them as well. And where would these characters be? We thought about their environment. So there was a lot of very traditional forms of filmmaking exercises that we went into as we were developing. There's nothing like a murky hideout for every villain, and also an epic new workshop for Wallace. And it wouldn't really be a Wallace and Gromit adventure without a very big robot indeed. So whilst this wasn't going to be stop motion, there were also traditional methods that we applied to this as well. So there was approximately about 10 minutes of animation that was going to go on it in the big fix-up. And as I say, this couldn't be stop motion, but we could apply traditional methods to this. So the first thing that we do is to sculpt our characters in clay. And then we then bring them into, we digitally scan those characters, and we create models, rig them, and animate them in Unity. We could also, in a very traditional perspective, get on with our casting. So we managed to get an incredible cast together, so that process could take place. But in terms of where we're starting to the merge of traditional storytelling into interactive, and this is really the kind of the key area, the nub of it. We took our synopsis and we broke it down into separate beats, essentially across a 3-act structure. And in those beats, we looked at the interaction points. So where users would be in a beat, and we started to think about the forms of interactivity that could go on in that, and map those very carefully across the story. We then took those beats and split them all up and brainstormed a lot, looking at different forms of interactivity, again, that we could disperse over a 3-act structure. And that, as you can imagine, that took some time. And this was then all distilled down into something that we call it was the steel thread that ran all the way through the story. But what was also fantastic about that, as users were being very aware of where they were in the story, they could also branch off into other beats and have little micro adventures as the main grand adventure was going on. And we knew we were going to be in a mobile space, and our mobiles are incredible, fantastic devices that allow us to go to lots of different media, whether you've got an at-home experience or you've got a bit of gamification going on, or audio, visual, animation, all those sorts of things. So it's an incredible resource. And so the mobile was the heart of the experience. And it allowed us to go into various different media, and gave us tons of opportunities. But the app is also, very importantly, a piece of the story. So it was incredibly important to us that it looked like something from Wallace and Gromit's universe, that they designed it. Although, to be frank, I think probably Gromit was the person who designed the app in the long run. And the hook is that you're an engineer. So we like this idea of you're clocking in every day in real time as the story develops. As soon as you download it, and you're immersed into it, so you start to get notifications for job alerts. You might get a new piece of news that crops up, or a new piece of video. And so it gave us this lovely immersive platform to be able to dive off in different directions across these beats. So, for instance, one of the things that we worked on a lot, we had various forms of augmented reality. One of these was a portal, and it allowed us to go into that concept work that I showed you earlier. So this is the villain's office, Bernard Grubb's office. And the fantastic thing about this is that you've got you've got a rotation that you can do within a portal. So you're exploring. You can root around in the drawers. You can find secret compartments, and you can spend as much time as you want there. But also, really importantly, once we'd conceived character and plot, we could immerse clues and story elements within these portals. As another example, as something that we could break out, you could get a phone call. Wallace calls you and has these augmented reality calls, but it's Wallace's voice. He leaves you an answer machine message, and you're encouraged to go off then and help him. And this might be something that might happen locally, or you can play it on your desktop. So again, it enriches and gives a much deeper immersion to the user. It being a Wallace and Gromit adventure, there's all sorts of silliness. So the gameplay was fantastic in terms of, again, what we could do with augmented reality. We can have all sorts of models and fun with that. And my particular favourite, that we created a gumshoe noir comic for Gromit that enabled you, again, across one of these beats if you discovered them. So there are a number of different comics. And you could effectively be him, so that it would then link you into those portals. And it was playful for us. We like the kind of the meta element to this. It's very much in the tradition of Wallace and Gromit's kind of comic background. And this was a hugely important character. This is Clarissa Kent. A first for Wallace and Gromit. She's a live action character, and we conceived of her somebody that could talk to our young audience, and that she would be able to interview Wallace and Gromit. She kind of gets the scoop on what they're doing. But it was very important to us that she was a live action character, so that she was kind of on this bridge between the real worlds and the animated and virtual world for Wallace and Gromit. And so we really liked that balance that she gave us. So originally, before COVID came along, the Act 3 that we had was to be played out physically. You could play it at home. Not everybody can get to Bristol, but we had all sorts of ambitions to, as the third act takes place, you could come to Bristol for a lovely day out, but also get immersed in this adventure. And we did a lot of work, whether you'd been a real fanboy right from the start, or you just turned up and you'd seen a billboard, and then you could go off and go to various different locations and getting involved. And because of COVID, we had to pivot. We were already developing the desktop experience, so that was fine. But also, thanks to the support of UKAEG and Unity Technologies, we've been able to slightly pivot back. So we're launching Fix Up the City later this year, which is really kind of the greatest hits of all the LiDAR scanned physical AR stuff that's going on around Bristol, but also brilliantly we're able to do it in other cities. So it'll also be launching in Cardiff and San Francisco. So in one sense, there's a kind of silver lining to us getting knocked sideways by COVID last year. And just to close, we've got a little sneak peek. So I'll run that for you now.
Keep an eye out for Gromit. Wouldn't want him missing all the excitement.
What a corking set of contraptions! Cribbons! Big Lad's marauding has duffed up our lovely rocket!
There you go. Thank you very much.
I'm a bit of a fan of Wallace and Gromit. We know how much they love to go on adventures. You've mentioned where this is going to be rolled out. For people in the audience who maybe are not from those places, does Gromit have any plans to bring his new design to anywhere else in the world very soon?
Well, as I say, we're launching it, the Fix Up the City element, which is really the third act with all these AR juicy bits. It's going to be Bristol, Cardiff and San Francisco. So we've got 3 different locations. So, we hope that maybe be able to get to one of those anyway. So that's exciting.
Yes, and maybe he'll be able to go to some of the other places as well, from people in the audience who are probably dying to go and meet him as well.
Yeah, I think so. But as I say, you can play the Big Fix Up at home, so it is a desktop experience as well, and you can make them as big as you like, really. So wherever you are, you can play it.
Thank you very much, Finbar. Thank you for joining us in UK House today. You can connect with Finbar via the hop-in networking function in the People tab. We're also going to be providing LinkedIn details for each of our speakers in the main chat function. So make sure you do connect with them if you have any questions that you want to follow up with after each session. We're going to take a very short commercial break, but don't go too far, as coming up we'll be hearing from Hey Human.